Good girl. Okay, I've been wondering what I have needed today because there's been something that's been sitting on my mind which I haven't been able to do today, and I haven't been able to figure out what that is. And I realized it's this. So I'm craving spiritual stuff right now. I'm craving readings and I'm craving psychic stuff. And I'm going through a lot of transitions myself because of all of my new psychic stuff. There's a lot of people that can't accept me, and there's a lot of people that can't understand that I can actually do stuff. There's a lot of people that make me feel bad for telling the truth. So there's a lot of death and decay going on. There's a lot of loss, and there's even a little bit of torment going on as well. So what we're going to do is sit and do a reading together. I know I'm scraggly and messy and stuff. I had my life out of shape for a little while just because I was just living my life. So, readings. The first one is annoyed. Super annoyed. Everything is annoying you right now. Everything's pissing you off. And you want to blame other people. You want to look externally for the reasons why you're angry, why you're upset. Instead, you should be looking on the inside. Okay? God. This is just hectic because I'm also dealing with personal energies as well, who are literally over the past... I've made a video on this already about transitions and how people will leave your life once you start becoming who you are. And I'm currently going through a lot of that myself, as I explained in the beginning of the video, actually. But as a result, I'm getting a lot of that energy in, and I don't necessarily want to be dealing with those particular people, because that would make this a personal reading. However, if it does keep coming up, it means it's a collective reading thing, and I will bring it up. Okay. You're seeking attention and validation from other people. Some of you would go so far as to seek it from animals. You want to be liked, and you want to feel good. You place your own value in the hands of other people. Some of you do that in certain ways, others do it in different ways. But when you do that and how you do that is impacting you on one of the most grand emotional scales you have ever experienced. I just have to get away from the freaking bird. The other thing I've noticed is that I've started dealing with and watching and interacting with a whole bunch of spiritual teachers and psychics and stuff online. And this time right now, every single goddamn spirit video has interruptions and noises going on. And I thought, I was getting annoyed because my videos kept having that. Every single time I start a video, you'll notice I get interrupted by something. But actually, as I started watching that, and as other people started noticing it as well, the collective started recognizing that actually it's meant to be happening. All that noise and disturbance. Remember, I spoke about just now the annoyance. You're feeling annoyed by external things. So this is trying to get you to stop focusing on the external thing and start trying to feel why it annoys you, or how, or where even. Sometimes you just need to locate where inside that energy sits. For me, that annoying sits up here in the back of my neck and a little bit into my stomach over there. Okay, this birdie. And that's from this reading. I was at a very happy space, and then I do a reading like this, and my energies drop to match what's going on, and I'm freaking annoyed. And that's just how it works. Okay, and then the reading will be done, and I'll be in my blissful state again. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. What else? It's so foggy right now because there's transition going on, so there's not a lot of direction. There's not a lot of direction being given in energy. I'm being called for the cards. Nah, I don't really want to use the cards. I wanted to do this naturally or intuitively, but I might need the cards, although there is more stuff coming up. Okay, nope, get the cards. I literally sat down and I heard, no, get the cards. So we're gonna go freaking get the cards. Okay. Right. That's not the deck that I saw in my head. But that's the deck that we're going to use. Okay. We're going to use my personal deck, the Ask Your Guides, Ask Your Masters. And we're going to see what this thing has to deliver for us today. Okay. So, fluctuating. There's a fluctuating energy right now. It's one of the reasons I can't get a hold on what's going on. That and plus all of my own stuff. I'm scared to integrate personal readings with online readings. And right now there's just, because this one friend of mine, we were best friends. And if you think you know who it is, it might not be who you think it is. So like, just don't guess, okay? But we were best friends. And it just got rough, dude. Anyway, partnerships and love. So that's exactly what this is about, okay? You're trying to find the validation in other people, in partnerships and in love, instead of in love for yourself. Decisions, you got to make some decisions using your higher self. These are your decisions to make and your things to do. And the reason for that is because, the reason it's brought this up is because we'll talk about it. Okay, then I've got suffering as well. Suffering by your divine teachers. You want to start with these three. There's a fourth one, but we'll wait for it. Okay, so this is the way that I've laid them out. So it's decisions by your higher self. It's then partnerships and love by your nature spirits. It's then suffering by your divine teachers. So I'm not going to be doing the whole reading of the book thing here. I'm just going to be chatting about what I get for you guys based on these. Okay, decisions. You need to make the decision whether it's time for you to find validation in yourself, or if you want to keep relying on other people to make you feel good. That's the first decision you need to make. And in that, you need to understand what elements of suffering there are. What does that mean? Firstly, you look at the decision, you look at the pros and cons. You then identify which one would lead to a life of least suffering. That's how you make a decision, dudes. So it's pretty much that easy. Actually, it'll eventually get to a point where you're not looking for a life of no suffering. You're actually looking for a way to get to a life that's even better than where you are right now. But that's your decisions, okay? Right now, a lot of you, most of you, in fact, are making decisions that are constantly negative. You are constantly degrading yourself. You are constantly bad to yourself. You don't even know how you're doing this. You're in denial about your own self. Probably that's one of the cards that we were going to pull. So in denial, you're in denial about your own self, about what you're doing. You seem to think that you have all the answers inside you and that you know better than other people, even though you are not where you want to be in life, and even though there are some people who are trying to guide you, who can clearly, you can see that they're in a better state, you can see that they're way higher than you can see them being successful and stuff, and you're still hesitant. And that hesitance comes from this, okay? You're afraid to be told the truth. You're afraid to hurt. You're afraid to hurt on the inside. Therefore, you don't want to hear the truth. Do you know who that's like? The older generation. They also don't like to hear the truth, and they also get hurt and offended and traumatized and victim mentality when something like that comes up. So what you get to do now, and this applies for older generation as well, okay? So like it's no, like it's just a pattern that I've noticed, okay? Like don't get offended, really. But if you're getting offended, that's just proving my point. Okay, so so decisions. You now need to decide. I don't like the word, we all know this, but I'm using it. You now need to decide that you are done relying on other people for your happiness. You don't need to be around other people to feel satisfied. You don't need to be on a substance to feel good. You don't need all these things which you've told yourself you need for so long. You get to decide what your decisions and what your mindset is. Okay, you get to decide what's good for you and what's bad for you. It's you now. It's up to you now. Okay, if you don't want to mentor, you have to mentor yourself. And if you're not mentoring yourself correctly, you're never going to get anywhere. Make the decision. And one of those decisions, by the way, just a heads up, some of your angels actually are saying that you absolutely should get a freaking mentor. Some of you have been given a sign for years. So I'm not kidding. This is the information I'm getting. Some of you have been given a sign for years and years, and you're just not acting. Dude, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? Act. Okay? Stop being afraid. Stop being in your head about everything. Act. And if that means, I'm getting this again, if that means that you need to start speaking your truth and speaking up against what's wrong, even though it'll make life hard for you in your current circumstance, you got to do it. You gotta. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck there. The transition comes when you decide that you don't belong there. The transition comes when you decide that you want to be real, because then your version of real, who you really are, will find the real version of your reality. Does that make sense? In other words, if you want to live the life that you're meant to live in this lifetime, you need to be your real self. And if that means hurting people because they've got a weak ego, or hurting people because they're so full of insecurity, or anything like that, the goal isn't... So this is where I then get into it. The goal is never to attack, okay? Because people think that the hurt is the problem. The hurt is not the problem. The hurt is, every bit of hurt that anybody feels is only because they feel it inside. Nobody actually hurts you. You always hurt yourself, okay? That's a very complicated spiritual, physical, metaphorical, esoteric, okay? There's a lot to talk about that. And absolutely, I don't want to go into it now. But where was I even going with this? The energy just lost itself. Okay, anyways, it'll come back. Whatever I was saying, it wasn't meant for now. It'll come back when it's coming up. Okay, so your decisions, you get to make your decisions now. So just decide, right? Just decide that you want to be living your higher self. That means you're going to be speaking your truth all the time. Oh, that's right. And in doing this, in speaking your truth, the goal isn't to avoid hurt. Okay? If someone needs to be hurt, we all know the concept of tough love. Okay? Tough love is a hurtful love, but it's also the most advancing love you can have. That's tough love. So the goal is not to avoid hurting someone's feelings, because that's impossible. That is only possible when that person is 1,000% secure, so secure that nothing could hurt them on the inside, because then nothing can hurt them full stop. Do you understand? That's how hurt works. So the goal is not, if you're one of those people who is learning to speak your truth, the goal is not to not hurt somebody. People need to be hurt. Trust me. That has to happen. Pain is how we learn our lessons. Okay? What needs to happen, though, is you need to decide for yourself how you want to deliver the message. And you're going to do it without any attempt of attack. You're going to do it without any... you don't want to be condescending in the energy. You don't want to be entitled and a know-it-all. You don't want to be someone who's attacking. Now, what does attacking look like? Attacking is not, you're doing this wrong, you should do this. Oh, here's me. Okay, that's not an attack. That's me being real, or you being real, or whatever it is. Okay, again, this is just tying into personal readings as well, but this needs to happen for all of us. That is not attacking somebody. That is being honest. That's all that is. Okay, attacking is when you purposefully intend to hurt somebody in a negative manner. That's an attack. If you hurt somebody, but it's meant for the betterment of them, or even for your relationship, then that's the way it is. Okay, they can deal with their pain, and you can deal with the discomfort. But attacking is when you're being malicious in your intent. Attacking is when your psychic side is sending out energies of frustration, anger, annoyance, irritants, anxiety, or all those sort of things. Okay? So you now get to decide how you speak your truth. You first get to decide if you want to speak your truth. Remember, free will. But just remember, if you don't speak your truth and you don't start living your life according to your own rules, or at least working towards that, then you're just going to be stuck for a while, okay, until you're ready to deal with it. Nothing wrong with that, but just be aware of that, okay? But that's why you get to make this decision now in this transition period. And pretty interestingly, I'm included in this, because I've been living a lazy lifestyle. We all know this if you follow vlogs and stuff. And now it's time for the next level. And I'm like, okay, but we all get to decide to take that leap, which will bring the correct partnerships. It will bring the correct love. Okay, the reason, or so if you want to know what's happening with me right now, I'm literally, this is a universal process, and how you can identify that is that I'm not doing any of it. So people are literally out of the blue messaging me, phoning me, whatever it is, and something happens, there's a kerfuffle, or there's something that I disagree with, and I tell them because I'm honest now, and they don't like it, and then things, transpire to them in a negative way, and to me in a very positive way. So why? Because I'm losing the partnerships and the love that I had, which no longer fits who I am. And as a result, now that I've become who I am, and I've learned to love who I am for myself, regardless of any shame or mistakes I make, as long as I can just completely honestly love myself, flaws and all, then I will find the partnership that I'm meant to have. And this applies to everybody. This was just me using me as like the reference, okay? Right. Now suffering. Now, this decision will either bring happiness, which is probably even the top, life force. There you go. This is what you get. Based on your decision, am I going to be authentic? Am I going to speak my truth? Am I going to tell my mom that I don't like when she coughs in my face? Even though she's going to get super uber offended for no freaking reason at all? Am I going to tell my friend that she's messing up and she's been doing this for years, even though she can't see me as any sort of mentor and probably even sees me as dumb? That's the decisions you got to make. Those are the decisions you got to make, okay? Am I going to be my honest self regardless of what anybody else seems to think? And as a result, I will then get to live these lives. Either my partnerships in love will develop into your life force, which is your sex and your steaminess and your a good relationship, okay? Or you can have a relationship that leads to suffering. And this is going to happen again and again and again and again and again and again and again until you learn the lesson. We've been over these lessons. You could have more lessons on top of this, but the main lesson right now is stop the validation seeking. You should not be seeking validation from any single goddamn person on the goddamn planet, not even from yourself. What you should be doing instead is telling yourself that you are worthy, you are good. You need to stop worrying, especially about what people think of you, and you need to start, and that includes yourself, most importantly, in fact. Stop worrying about yourself, okay? And start pondering your opportunities. Start thinking about experiences you want to have. Start thinking about the life you want to live, okay? These thoughts will help you make this decision. Because until you can kind of piece together a somewhat of a future that you want, you can't really work towards it, right? So this is helping us identify that. If you are now choosing to live a comfortable, easy life, instead of making the hard choices, your decisions, instead of making hard decisions and being completely honest and going out of your comfort zone and all of this stuff, you will probably at some point experience this again, partnerships and love, or you'll be stuck with what you have now, which will lead to your suffering. Now, the suffering card is important because it's basically emphasizing the shadow self. So do you see this guy, what's happening? Do you know when you feel hurt, when someone says something and you feel hurt? The reason you feel hurt, like we've already looked at, the reason you feel hurt is because you've got a shadow self, and there's a shadow self that you've told yourself at some points in your lifetime or past lifetimes. You've told yourself that that part of you isn't good, or it's not worth looking at, or it's not valuable, or something like that. And now what's happening is that shadow self needs to come up. That the only way you can advance is if you bring back the parts of you which you discarded. Because you can't be a whole self unless you accept yourself wholly, right? So this is what's happening for you. And if you refuse to make these decisions, if you refuse the decision path, the harder choices path, then you're going to end up having a suffering pattern in your relationships. And that could even transpire into all of your relationships. Why? Because your shadow self is the thing that's hurting you. It's not the other people. People, like I said, people won't hurt you, okay? Your shadow self hurts you. Whatever is making you feel bad is because there's something inside you that you've told yourself previously there's bad, or you've told yourself previously you don't want to hear about it or think about it, whatever it is, okay? You've pushed it away. Now it's coming up through other people, and instead of hearing it and taking it in and trying to assess it, you keep pushing it away. You just push, push, push. It's not for me, especially from this person. A lot of you are saying that, especially from this person who I've known for years. Ha, please, how could they know what I'm going through, okay? Like, you just got to trust. That's what you got to do. So one of the shadows already is trust. You need to trust more, and you need to trust the right people, okay? There's a lot more in the shadow self. There's a lot more coming up. It's the annoyance again. If you're constantly annoyed by people, it's because that you feel like there's an issue with your own imperfections. You feel like there's an issue with perfection, whether it's you need to be perfect, or you need others to be perfect, or you need things to run perfectly, okay? You see what I'm saying? So this is what you're going to do. You're going to look at what are your issues. Why do you feel this way? Even if you think someone made you feel that way, okay? That's grammatically wrong. Someone can't make you feel any way. If someone shouts at me super anger, do you think I'm going to feel angry? Fuck that, dude. Why? Okay? They can't make me feel anything. If I then decided to reciprocate the anger, then I could say they made me feel that way, but I can't, because I had the choice. Boom. I had the choice to either let it go or to get angry in reciprocity. The last thing I want to tell you about this card is that the more you push away this shadow self, and the more you ignore or neglect or reject or can't see for yourself, the more you do that, the more your relationships are going to have these. Why? You can't get happy with anybody if you're constantly hurt. The reason I'm letting go of so many friends is because I'm telling my truth, and I'm the one who constantly gets attacked for it. And I've had enough of it, okay? I'm not suffering anymore. And it's so interesting doing this reading, because it's just, I had all this energy sitting in my head the whole day because of all that's been going on in my life. But now doing the reading, it's coming into the physical, and I can literally see it out. So doing this reading is super awesome. But what I was going to say there then is that this whole situation, it would be a better idea if you look at it from an overview, from an oversight. So even if you are super angry at this person, or even if you can't fathom what's going on, or you can't understand it, or you don't want to see them a certain way, the fact is life presented them to you in that certain way at that moment because there's something you needed to deal with. And they knew it, and they've known it probably for years, and you didn't know it. Now they are finally their true selves. They're telling you the truth. They're being honest, and you can't take it because you can't see them a certain way. That's just one of many. But this shadow part of you could be something about self-reflection, self-deflection even. Sometimes even self-deflation could be the keys. Just take those three words, think about it in this context, and see if there's anything that resonates with you, with your shadow self. For example, is there a part of you that wants to reject what other people say because you think you're right better than them, or because you think you're right more often than they are, okay? And I know this is the case with even some of my old friends. So just be aware of that. You can even have friends who are this way. It's just the way it is. Remember, people can't hurt you unless you allow them to hurt you, okay? And plus, a bonus on that one, when people hurt you, it's actually a growing mechanism. This suffering only comes when you constantly just keep telling yourself people are hurting you instead of trying to think about why they're hurting you, okay? As soon as you start thinking about where they're hurting you, because remember, they're not hurting you. You're hurting yourself, just using their words to do it. So as soon as you identify that, and you then identify what it is in yourself that's making you hurt yourself by feeling a certain way about what someone else said, that's when you heal this. That's when you grow. So the reason this is coming up is not to make you feel bad, and the reason that people are changing the way they handle you is not to make you feel different or feel inferior. It's purely because the universe has its divine presence at hand. You are meant to evolve, and you probably are not evolving enough right now. You're not getting where you want to go, and you know you're not. Some of you are going to mental hospitals. Some of you are going to specific psychiatric wards. Some of you are taking medication. Some of you are doing other things. Okay, there's stuff going on. And all of that all of that, including self-diagnosis and all of that stuff, all of that is just a way for you to take what you're feeling and create an external factor for it. So you're taking your energy, and instead of dealing with the energy on the inside, you're trying to find an external force or an external energy to mitigate it or balance it out. Let me tell you, it doesn't work that way. Anything that you take has additional energies on top of it, which is not worth it. Having said that, I'm not a general practitioner. Don't take my advice when it comes to like those things, although you should, because I actually do deal with medical stuff as well, including energy clearing and cleansing and stuff like that. Anyway, just a heads up on that. If you do want then a personal reading, you can contact me, hit me up, and we can arrange that. But yeah, so you can either keep living in your shadow self and denying that what people is telling you is the truth, or you can start opening yourself up and embracing the side of you. When someone hurts me now, for example, I appreciate it because I'm like, I mean, obviously, if it's a bad hurt, then I hate it in the moment, but that hasn't happened in a long time because I'm psychic stuff now, right? Okay, so it's pretty cool. But when someone does hurt me with something they say or something like that, I'm super grateful, because what I do then is I just listen to them. I then go home, I meditate, I reflect on it, I find where the issue is, why did it hurt me, and then I heal it. Just like that. Boom shaka. That's going to lead to, okay, sometimes it is, they're just telling me, like, sometimes it is a long process, okay? Sometimes it'll take years to heal something. That's just the way it is, okay? But eventually you'll get to a point where you can just unlock all your healings. But remember that even as a psychic, you can't get all the answers. So even if you have clear guidance coming in from the angelic realm or even anything like that, remember that you can't get all the answers because you still have your own lessons to learn. So even though you might know how to help someone who you can see is below you, you might still want to get mentorship or guidance yourself as you move forward, or at least you want to pay attention to your experiences. Most of us psychics nowadays are going through experiences to help us understand and explain things to other people so that they can go through their own experiences as well. Okay, but yeah, so this is the partnerships in love, and basically it's saying if you do the shadow work and you decide to keep working on your shadow self, also if you decide that you want, okay, you can also decide that you don't want these things, but that's also going to lead to a bit of suffering, is what I'm just getting. It's just the energy I'm getting. I'm not even getting guidance on this. Yup, okay. So that's the energy I got. If you keep rejecting this, the notion of this, that's again because there's a shadow element to you that, I don't know, maybe you're afraid of the pain, potential pain, or maybe you're afraid to trust again. There's a shadow part of you that wants to come out, and as soon as you do that, it's then going to ignite this, and you're going to have an easier time taking action when it comes to trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Okay, and chances are, whoever you decide to do that with now, once you've made the decision to do this evolution process and to handle your relationships like this on a more internal level, then this is going to lead to this. Now you can see, just by the fiery flames of this card, this card literally ignites my solar plexus and my sacral chakra. It literally ignites my the navel part down here. Why? Because your life force is it's the breathing part of you. So when you do meditations, it's a good idea to focus there because that's where your breath sits, or the energy at least sits, to then spread out. So it's a good idea to pay attention there. And that is your life force, okay? It's technically your breath, but actually your breath is it's igniting that life force. So we have this force within us, and our breath is the thing that keeps it nice and steady. It's a fire. We need breath to keep it moving, okay? And what does this mean for you? Well, it means glory days. It means you are having a good time, all right? It means you found someone with passion. You found someone who is probably or you will, okay? You either have or you will. Some of you have because you've done this. That's awesome. But some of you will. But I guess what I was doing is manifesting us for the past into the present. But basically what I'm saying is that you'll find somebody who will actually be exactly what you've been looking for. Not necessarily in terms of they must have dark hair and they must be 6'4", and they must be absolutely not an arrogant person, things like that. What's actually going to happen is that because you've become more forgiving towards other people and the things they say, because you are more healed on the inside for yourself, the easier it is to share truth, not just tell your truth, but for them to share their truth as well. Okay, and when that becomes the case, when they feel like they can just say whatever they need to as well, that's when you can have this, right? I mean, I don't know if I don't even know if I've been involved in this, but I don't know if any of you have been involved in this, where I'm sure you have though, where you're in bed with somebody and it's not really great, and you want to fix it. You want to fix it, but you don't know how to approach the topic, right? So that's just an example. This can happen in many cases. Like maybe you have a boss and you don't know how to talk to your boss, or whatever it is, okay? But this is because it's dealing with partnerships and love. So this is saying that you're going to find someone who you can really just resonate and communicate with. And in fact, it's going to go beyond that. It's going to go into psychic stuff, energy stuff, and it's going to be something where you're actually going to start experiencing energetic sex. If you don't know what that is, I would absolutely go. Guys, energetic sex is some of the best. It is the best sex I have ever had. But it's just because it's energy. And I'm not saying that it beats the physical thing, okay? However, if you were to combine those two, you would probably have the best time of your life. And this is what's saying you'd be able to do at some point, okay? Obviously, that is dependent on your own psychic stuff and your partners as well. But for a lot of us, we're going to find someone who can just ignite our energy, and then it's just free-flowing, easygoing. You know how everybody makes fun of guys who last like 2 seconds and then they say that's done? Well, this card is saying that you're going to have someone who's going to go the whole weekend, all right? And that's not to say that they're going to. So I don't know if this is personal now or not. Like, this would be a lot more for the guys, I suppose. But like, basically saying, if you're worried, if you need to learn about sex, then you should go learn about sex, okay? But for the guys, especially young guys, have this issue. They worry that they come and then that's it. Remember that, especially with this card, what you're going to be able to do now is explore your sexuality by coming multiple times, by doing things like that. I'm speaking this so out loud, and there's just neighbors right around the corner, okay? But I think you get the picture, right? A weekend in bed, you guys are going to ignite each other's flames. You're going to ignite each other's souls. You're going to use energy. You're going to use passion. You're going to use power. You're going to use intensity. It's going to be beautiful. And I'm not saying it's just for sex, okay? This is actually for your relationship. Your relationship is going to be a powerful one. However, you do need to be aware that you still get to decide what is a passion project and what is a partnership project. Remember that those are something you need to do, okay? And please, guys, especially the guys, especially dudes, okay? There's just a pattern, like, no offense, there's just a pattern, and it's specifically around male energy of abuse of the female energy. And what this is just telling us is that if you do decide that you want someone for this rather than for this, then as soon as you decide that, you need to let them know. There is no room for pain. Okay, remember what I said about hurting people? It's true, your actions are your actions, and it'll only hurt somebody else because of something inside them, but they're still being a decent human being. They're still being a good person. If you can foresee that it's going to hurt somebody, and it's not for their betterment, and it's not the right choice to make, that's when you need to decide, hey, I need to tell this person that I'm just not looking for a relationship. Or, hey, I need to tell this person that I want to fuck their brains out, and that's it. Or even if you want to be honest about like going slow and something like that. But that's where this comes in. So essentially, if we go back to this, all of this just from 4 cards, right? But essentially, if we go back to this, okay, you got your decisions. So you will make decisions which will then help you find your partnerships in love, or will help you find your life force energy with a partner or with yourself. Okay, because remember, this applies to some people and this applies to some people. If you are where some of my friends are, then this is what's going to apply, and this is going to be your own life force. So you're going to strike your energy in yourself. You're going to start becoming your own favorite person. That's what needs to happen first. But if you've already done that, and now you're making the decision to move forward, to evolve, to advance, then you might want to start looking at this. Okay, you might want to think about actions towards this. If there's someone you've been crushing on for a while, chances are that they're probably crushing back on you, and it's a good idea to approach them. If you've been thinking about someone a lot, again, chances are they've been thinking about you, and you should approach them. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. Cool. Right, suffering. You guys want a last card? It is like 35 minutes, but we might as well do a last card just to see. Okay, that just flew out, and that is discipline. Right, now, once you make the decision, okay, we've got death at the bottom as well. That's just to deal with all the loss that you're going to experience. But discipline goes hand in hand with this, because once you start experiencing all the death, you start losing friends, you start not being understood by the people who once understood you. It's very easy to lack discipline. It's very easy to fall back into your old self, into your old ways. You know, stop telling the truth, stop sharing secrets, stop cutting people off for spreading rumors or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You've decided to be a better person, and as a result, there's going to be death involved, whether you like it or not. And that has to happen because there are energies, spirits, and even people in your life who are not meant to be in your life anymore. Okay, their energy is different to yours. That's it. So you need to practice discipline. Once you make a decision, you can't get anywhere unless you practice discipline. And then this was just highlighted to me again. You might have noticed my eyes just go right there. So then this was highlighted to me again. So again, once again, you can make the decision all you want, but you need to put in the effort and the work. Okay, you can decide to be a good, honest person, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't have the discipline to constantly be honest, right? You can decide to be a patient person, but it's not going to mean anything if you don't have the discipline to practice patience when you're feeling frustrated. Do you see what I mean? Because you can be. It literally works like this. Today, I am deciding that I am now a patient person. And now I'm a patient person. And the only thing that gets me to decide that I'm not is if I react negatively to what happens on my external circumstance. Do you understand? So you have control completely about your own self, no matter what you think, no matter who you think is hurting you, no matter why you're wondering why you have so many problems, no matter any of that stuff, you are hurting yourself all the way. These are the reasons why. Go and work on it. Okay. Again, if you guys need a little bit more information, you need a personal reading, you need something of a little bit extra of a guiding force, a little bit more personal, I'll give you tools. So what will happen is, depending on the reading, okay, it is very much depending on the reading, okay, but depending on the reading, I'll connect to my guides. If I have the ability, if they let me, I'll connect to your guides. They're saying yes, 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 yes. Okay, guys, if you got readings, if people want readings, this is the video to hit me up, okay? I literally have guides. Like, literally, I'm seeing, like, they're saying, yes, bro, let's go. Okay, and that might be applying to those guys who have been getting signs for years that you need a mentor. You might need someone like me who's a little bit more frivolous and crazy, but it doesn't have to be me. I'm not shamelessly self-promoting, okay? I don't mind. My hands are just pulling invention. Okay, creativity, invention, unconditional love, and leadership. Well, this just sums up the last thing to finish up. So we talked about your relationships. We're now just going to finish up quickly with this transition. Remember, this is a transition phase. So this current transition phase is all the relationships and breaking down and making the decisions. Okay? But this next step is where the discipline applies. And that is your invention. So your invention, whatever you start creating, it wants to be finished. It wants a completion, okay? How do you achieve that? Unconditional love. This invention of yours, the creation, whatever you've brought into this magical physical world, it needs your love. Whether that's time or prayer or anything like that, it needs your love, okay? How are you going to make it work? How are you going to make it successful? Through leadership. Okay, this is a lot more about after this transition phase, but essentially if we were to go back to the cards and put discipline at the beginning, it would work, but actually discipline would need to be settled in. Discipline's like the energy I've got of it actually is like, it's like the overlying. It's almost like, I don't know how to explain the visuals I'm seeing, but it's literally like the card is up here and it's like spraying its energy on these cards down here, and it's basically saying you have the inventiveness, you have the eccentricity inside you, you need to use it to make something. The reason you keep giving up is because you refuse to give your creations love. You refuse to accept that you can love something that you create. You just keep seeing the flaws and the faults, or you keep worrying if it's the right or wrong way instead of just loving it. Just love your creation. And in turn, you will then learn how to be a better leader, because your creative processes will lead to creating something which will help you lead other people. And that is what's going to happen. So good luck out there. I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.